Hello there. Oh. Hi there, what's up? This is Brandykins, and welcome to my very first vlog ever. What are we going to talk about? Well, today we are going to talk about zombies. Big surprise. So when I speak of zombie, this is in zombie, Zombie. It is in opposition to the Haitian voodoo zombie, Zombi, which is basically a lifeless corpse that a Haitian voodoo doctor summons up from the dead and does his voodoo magic, and the zombie Zombie is sent to do the guys the voodoo doctor's bidding. The zombie Zombie is a putrid, decaying corpse, the one that you know of that shuffles aimlessly and is like brains. Maybe they don't say brains, but they do a lot of. Sorry, I had to move my green screen from back there because I noticed it's just like, what? And I didn't know that it was doing all its stuff back there. So let me go over a little bit. This video will go over about mainly the history of the zombie narrative. As far as, where zombies started, the idea of the zombie, Zombie, is an essentially American creation, as I contend. And researchers were in contention about where the zombie narrative first began. Some say it was with W.B. Seabrook's The Magic Island, written in 1929, which was later made into the movie White Zombie in 1932. That dude was... that dude was crazy. Going back to what I was initially talking about, researchers have issues with knowing exactly when the zombie narrative started. Some think it was The Magic Island, which was again written by W.B. Seabrook in 1929. But I contend that the zombie narrative, it began with Lovecraft's Reanimator, Herbert West, the Reanimator, written in 1921, because it specifically deals with a corpse that was brought back to life through, it wasn't brought back to life through voodoo or any rituals. It was just brought back to life with the sciencey, kind of scientific things, with little to no explanation as to why it happened. There's a play called Zombie, and it was written by Webb in 1932, and written and performed in 1932. And I've had the hardest time trying to find a copy of the play. So it was written by a guy named Webb, W-E-B-B. And if anyone so happens to know, like, where in the world I can find, like, a copy of this or more information about it. This is the fourth time that car alarm's gone off, and it's getting on my damn nerves. 4 times. Another example of the literary evolution of of a tradition of evolution of a monster all throughout popular culture is Dracula. So you have the established folklore tradition of Dracula being based off of Vlad Dracul or Vlad the Impaler, the dude who liked to supposedly stake his enemies, and then he like set up a table out in the middle field, and then he just dined with the corpses of his enemies as decor, some weird morbid decor. I don't know. But anyway, so you have the established tradition of Dracula being based off of that guy in folklore. He was a real guy, by the way. And the stories like kind of went on through the centuries until Bram Stoker wrote Dracula in 1891, I believe. No, sorry, my bad. I had a brain fart. It was close. Dracula was published in 1897 by Bram Stoker, and parts of it were an epistolary novel where Jonathan Harker wrote in his diary and wrote letters, and then the other, like 2/3 of the book, was more a sensation novel, which is basically Mina gets bit and Jonathan enlists Van Helsing's help, and they spend forever trying to get up to the damn castle to kill the guy. But that's beside the point. And then after Dracula, then you had, the years of narratives about vampires, lots of different vampire lore out there, and then it finally made its evolution into film.
Van Helsing. Now that you have learned what you have learned, it would be well for you to return to your own country.
I prefer to remain and protect those whom you would destroy.
You are too late. My blood now flows through her veins. She will live through the centuries to come, as I have lived.
So that is the path that a monster takes throughout literary tradition. Stories and folklore, then going to like narratives built out through a period of decades or centuries, and then finally making the jump into film. But what is so interesting about zombies is that they jumped into popular culture with really no established literary tradition at all. Sure, you had the Haitian voodoo zombie, ZOMBIE, but it's not really the zombie that we know of today in American popular culture, and that started, as I contend, with Herbert West Reanimator, written by Lovecraft in 1921. So if you take that as the starting point, zombies have been a part of American popular culture for 87 years, with really no established literary tradition to come before it. Unless you want to count like a few issues of EC Comics Tales from the Crypt, started in 1954 with the template of the revenge zombie, which is basically someone gets killed by an enemy, and then the person who was killed rises up from the grave to take revenge. That is called the revenge zombie, but that revenge zombie has a specific purpose. It knows its purpose. It can sometimes talk. Which, we all know that zombies really can't talk. But those revenge zombies can talk, and they seek out their revenge, and then usually once they get their revenge, they're done. And it wasn't until Richard Matheson's novel, I Am Legend, written in 1954, and the godfather of zombies, George A. Romero, and his movie The Night of the Living Dead, which came out in 1968, that we finally had a template for the zombies as we know them today. Future writers of zombie narratives finally had a template to follow. Now, you may be wondering what in the world I Am Legend has to do with this. This wasn't technically about zombies, but I Am Legend set the template for infections, global worldwide epidemics that wipe out humanity and turn them into other creatures. That set the template for those types of things, because as you know, zombie infections are usually caused by a virus. I Am Legend also set the template for the apocalyptic scenario that usually accompanies, more often than not, stories about zombies and films about zombies. Oh, and games about zombies. Night of the Living Dead is unique in that instead of it being based off of anything prior, it gave future writers and filmmakers a template for the zombies as we know them today. The zombies that are more dangerous when they're in numbers. The zombies that are putrid, decaying corpses that rise up from the dead. The zombies that, to stay alive, they infect and feed on the living. Their only desire is to just make more and eat more. It also established the tradition of, you want to take out a zombie? Well, where do you go? For the brain. It also established things like, zombies, they can be destroyed by fire and things of that nature.
Welcome to a night of total terror. Night of the living dead, the dead who live on living flesh. The dead whose haunted souls hunt the living whose bodies are the only food for these ungodly creatures. Night of the Living Dead. A bizarre adventure in fear. An experience in shock, more shattering than your strangest nightmare. Night of the Living Dead.
So where did the zombies go after they burst onto the scene? Where did zombies go? Thank you, Romero, for bringing zombies kicking and screaming. Well, zombies really don't kick and scream. For bringing zombies shuffling into popular culture. So, what happened to zombies after Romero's brilliant film? Well, of course, Romero put out some more zombie films. And zombies stayed in the public eye mainly through the medium of film, through the 1970s and the 1990s. But the films were mainly low budget, and they tended to take a back seat to other types of horror movies, the slashers, which I love slashers, don't get me wrong, but that's what zombies tended to take a back seat to, and to like horror parodies and things of that nature. It wasn't until what is dubbed the post 9/11 zombie renaissance that zombies finally found their way back into the literary narrative and became more prevalent in the public eye once again. And it wasn't until this post 9/11 zombie renaissance that zombies began to establish a firm foothold in 21st century narratives and film. The first narrative to come out after the the first zombie narrative to come out after the post 9/11 zombie renaissance was Max Brooks' The Zombie Survival Guide, written in 2003, which was touted as an all-encompassing guide that offered you survival tips and ways to protect yourself against the living dead. Yeah, I think I should also define the term zombie renaissance. Zombie renaissance means, of course, renaissance, the word means rebirth. And the post 9/11 zombie renaissance happened because it was when people were trying to make sense of all the violence, all the horror, all the gruesome images shown just on television and in the daily news and in the media. The first film to come out after the post 9/11 zombie renaissance was Danny Boyle's 28 Days Later in 2002. And it stars Cillian Murphy as someone who woke up in a hospital with absolutely no idea what was going on. Sound familiar? Yeah, we know you took influence off of that, Kirkman. We know. Anyway, he gets up, walks out, and this is set in England. He gets up, walks out, has absolutely no idea what's going on. And the pretext to that is that people have been infected with a virus that the media has dubbed as the rage virus. And these two things did very well. The Zombie Survival Guide was a New York Times bestseller. And 28 Days Later made $85 million worldwide at my last check. Now, of course, I'm not accounting for inflation now. This is $2002, and you have to remember that this was also an independent film. But it received generally positive reviews from critics and fans alike. But people, especially, not all people, but some in academia, just look at pop culture and they're like, ew, no, gross, zombies. And just in popular culture in general, they call it things like fleeting and evil and just buffoonery, which I don't understand. Why are zombie narratives valuable? Why are zombie films valuable? Why are they important to recognize as part of popular culture? The next few vlogs will be over why I feel that zombie narratives are relevant. So, what did you think about my history of the zombie narrative in books, the ones I mentioned, and film? Were there any films that I missed, or any books that I missed, that you feel kicked off the starting point for zombies in American popular culture? If I missed anything, let me know in the comments below the video. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, well then give me a thumbs down and then tell me what you didn't like about it. Be kind though, because this is my first vlog. And if you so happened to like what you saw and want to see more, then you click that subscribe button. Other places you can find me on the internet webs thing will be down below the video. So until next time, all of you out there in Brandyland and in the Brandy Bunch, you take care and toodaloo.